Welcome, dotnet friends. This is the On dotnet live show, where our mission is to empower all of you, our dotnet community members, to achieve more. I'm your host, Scott Addy, and I'm joined by co-hosts Cam Soper and Frank Boucher.
Hello.
On today's show, we are joined by guest Ryan Niño Dizon. Ryan, would you like
Hello.
to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Ryan. Yeah, I came from the Philippines, and I am happy. I'm excited to share something interesting, actually.
Something interesting. So I don't think we've had this on the show. I'm super excited to learn more about it. The Azure API Management Policy Toolkit. Why don't we jump right in and tell us all about this, Ryan?
Yeah, actually, this is a new open source project. I just saw this last year, actually, and then and I find it very helpful. That's why I keep myself updated about this toolkit open source project, and I'm really excited uh, to really use this in an actual project. Unfortunately, this is still in progress, the way I see it. So, but I am looking forward to have this in to have the first version, a real first version. So,
All right. So I'm going to assume most folks out in the audience have never heard of this thing. They're wondering, what can this do for me? Why should I, as a viewer, care about this? Why don't we start from that angle?
yeah, sure. Uh,
Um,
um, um, b- Maybe this APIM policy toolkit will help you manage or create API policies by using C# instead of working with a Razor format file. You Instead of working with XML file, you can work with C# file. And I'm gonna show you how you go how are you going to do that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Because if you have lots of XML policies, sometimes it's really hard to manage or organize. So and
You say
having it,
the XML, it's because that's what the API management use by default, where like you have that big document where you define all your policies, and it's an XML usually.
yes, and it is in Razor format, so you can have app there. So and this toolkit, you will be enabled, or you will be able to work with C# instead of working with XML file.
I like the idea.
That's yeah. This is really interesting, and I really find it very helpful in the future because I've been using APIM, APIM for almost project. So yeah,
Yeah, I would say that's a win in general. Any place you can use your existing C# knowledge, you can avoid a markup language like XML, or maybe you're unfamiliar with Razor. Regular
Mhm.
C# could really help you expedite your development.
You can also take advantage of because in APIM policy toolkit you can have unit test project is also supported. But unfortunately, I don't have a demo project for that. But if you explore this toolkit, you in the documentation.
Digging into that, so you mentioned unit tests. Is there a specific unit testing framework that you would have to use with that, or like could you use NUnit,
Um,
unit?
as far as I remember, it uses any. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I will double check that. Uh,
Okay. So go ahead and share your screen. I know you had all sorts of stuff you wanted to share with the audience here.
yeah, sure. Okay. Okay, so before I begin, let me introduce myself again. I am Ryan Niño Dizon, and I am currently a cloud architect at TCAN. And these are my social media profiles, or if you want to follow me, especially YouTube, please subscribe. And yeah, so without further information, let's go to the main topic. So as I had mentioned, yeah, I saw this post uh, by by Akamined. So it's and the first thing, the first time I saw this, I really find it very interesting. That's why I tried it. And basically, it will simplify it will simplify how you create your um, admin policies by just using Scribe. Because basically, well, maybe to put some context, so maybe some viewers doesn't really know what is APIM yet. So Azure API management is like your, well, not like, it's an API gateway where all the client requests will be filtered or will be route or will be rerouted to different endpoints. You can also put, or you can also configure your securities, or you can also put some, let's say, rate limiter. You can also set that by here, and this is the API management. So in here you can and each operations or API, you can put different policies like this. Just click here and choose different policy that you need for your project. And the most common one is validate JWT. And of course, this, where's that? There's of course, yeah, these are the default one. And let's try this. Let me just, course. And once you have this, you will save this. It will generate this raster format XML for you. So you just need to save it. And yeah, there's an error, but I will not debug that. So as you can see, this is more on like a manual. Let, let me say, like say uh, manual action that you need to put some policies. Um, Most of the project that I have been involved before, um, especially small one, they are adding their policies directly here. So imagine if someone just changed a declaration here, you will probably cannot track that changes unless you will have these revisions. But the footprint will be gone, and most of the team also control this or update this using this API management, where you can get all the existing policies that you have declared there, like this one. Say, for example, I have this APIM here, and I have different APIs inside, and I can say this. Let's say this policy. I let me just small. I can update this directly and upload it to API, Azure API Management. This will work. I mean, every most of the project will work by this kind of approach. But um, there are some way, or there is some approach that you can have a central repository or code repository. It's a secured location where you will save all this XML file. Then then you can use this, or you can use that location which has different XML policy for your automation deployment, deployment. So it will just get all of these XML files, and that will also work. I mean, most of the time that will also work. But would it be nice if you are a system developer, data developer? Would it be nice if you can write a code for system code that will generate this automatically also, like what we have like what we have done here? So something like this. And that's the power of API policy tool. And yeah, to in order for you to start, maybe let's open the repository. There's there's a quick start here. Actually, I just followed this one, and yeah. So this is not yet in Nuget.org. So you need to have a local repository for the Nuget packages, and you can have that here. Just download all the necessary Nuget here. Actually, I already downloaded these three and put it inside my project. Okay, let me just close this and show you the real project. So as I had mentioned, I need to add this packages folder for the Nuget packages or local repository. And I have installed the and I have already added this uh, this um, uh, this library, this Nuket package, just adding the package, uh, and yeah, so this is already working, and we can. I have a first file here, which sets the header. So let me just compile to show you what I am saying. So here, compiler source, and okay, policies. Oh no, that's policy output, and I will create a folder. No.
While you're setting your software, I just want to bring back just to make sure, because I like we were asking in the chat if people are really familiar with API management, and I'm not sure everybody is. So API management, I know Cam, you say you're also familiar. So it's a way to like manipulate, give access, regroup an API. And today I think it's very, very important, like with the AI and all those things, you could manage all those access, those API, and like make sure only the people you want use it for with quota and stuff like that. There are so many different scenarios, so it's very, very important in this connected world. You're muted, Cam.
I know there are competing solutions out there similar to this that folks may have used, but I like to think of it as a catalog of APIs that I'm making available. And as Cam said, I have knobs where I can, control how that catalog of APIs is managed, who can access them, throttling, things like that.
The other thing that it's useful for is API versioning.
Oh yeah, it's true.
Mhm, yeah.
You can manage your different versions. You could different level also. So like if you're a company that provide APIs or services like that, you could say, hey, okay, if you're for free, you could use this with that amount of calls by day. If you're my basic user, then you have this. If you have premium feature, whatever, like, and like having then versions. So it's very, very, very powerful tools. And like that all works with a lot of definitions that we saw in the portal. And it's great using the portal maybe to set them up first time or like explore what's possible. But after that, you need to maintain that. And you need to reproduce that and make sure it follows. And the tool today really help us saving time doing that, because we can then like have that centralized and we can change and apply all those changes. And we could do it in C# instead of like going in the portal and like clicking through UI. So
Mhm.
right now, what Ryan is doing is setting up a little application to help us doing that. Am I right?
Yes, correct.
Excellent.
So yeah. So as I executed this, it automatically generates this policy for, and it's not formatted well, and so I need to format that correct. Right. So there's this property here where you can say format true. Yeah. So it generate this for us, and we can just copy this. I mean, you can just copy this directly to the APIM policy designer. But in a real project, of course, this should be in this should not be do it manually. I mean, this should be automated. And this is just a what we call this example policy. I also have here another
So
example.
Ryan, let me make sure I understand what I just saw here. So so in API management, the policies are defined with these XML files that have little snippets of Razor embedded in them, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And with this toolkit, what you've done is instead you've made a policy with C# and then run this compiler on it to generate XML. Is that right?
Yes,
Cool.
correct.
And
Yeah,
if
mhm.
and I believe this CLI command was made available through that nupkeg that was
Yes,
installed.
yeah. I installed this policy see, globally actually. That's why I don't need to type this. That oops, sorry, global global. Yeah. So I already installed that policy toolkit compiler. That's why I can run that uh,
But
direct.
there was one other thing I wanted to ask about, Ryan. I saw you went to, I believe it was GitHub, and you grabbed the nupkeg file directly. Is this not published to NuGet.org?
No, not yet. The way I see it, not yet. So this
Okay.
is still in progress. That's why
So
I keep monitoring this repository because I am really interested on
got
this.
it. So it is still early days.
Yes. So yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, I still have other uh, class file here created earlier. Just here. So in this one, a little bit advanced. So I because I have this some kind of authentication management identity. I can where you can also do this manually inside APIM management policy editor. And if we try to run this command again, this will another XML file will be generated for us. And this is how it looks like. So I mean, by having this, you can monitor all the changes for your policy. You can push this in. You can push this to your code repository, whatever you have, just to make sure everything will be tracked or will be monitored. Compared to adding this or updating this directly in API Management Editor. I also have this one big example to give you more what we call this to make it more interesting. In this one, which is the validation of JWT. So it, you can also do it like this. So you can just have multiple variables here. You can have static variable if you want. And yeah, so it's pure C#. And if we run this again, it will generate another pulse, which is aligned the with the um, with the APIM management policy editor. So it's automatic, so you don't need to think of this Razor format. You just need to code with your C#. But of course, you might want to ask how can this be deployed automatically. So of course, we all love automation. So I also have other project here, which is more of for if you want to work with infrastructure as a code. So in here, I have this bicep file, which basically defines um, Azure services, or specifically API management. And I have, well, wait, just this demo. And I have the same simple policy here. And if I run this again, let's just I run this, let me change infra. Okay. So all of this folder structure will also be copied and will are generated for us inside this info. So, uh, uh, so and there you will have this simple policy, and the way we deploy this as to take advantage of infrastructure as a code, you can just do it like this. Of course, we need to log into our Azure subscription. I will not trigger. I will not execute this because I have already done this earlier, and it will take time. So basically, you will have this, and you will just get this bicep file to set up whatever needs to be done, and yeah, and as I have said, I've done this earlier, and this will be the result for that one.
So when you run that AZ-CLI command, that Azure CLI command, that will deploy all your resources inside your Azure subscription, and like the list of resources you were showing, that's what's created, and part of it is your API management.
Sure. Yeah, correct. So if you, of course, we love automation. So I think that's the proper way of working on this one. It should be inside your infrastructure as a code, or inside your infrastructure, and you just need to search for the XML. And if we go to the actual documentation, you can see where's that? Let's go here, and you can see that you also have an option to work with GitHub Action. If you want to work with GitHub Action pipeline, you can. Well, the same process should be done. You will just need to search for the infrastructure folder, then execute the bicep, and that's it. And that will also be the same if you work with Azure Pipeline. Of course, you just need to run that Azure API policy, then execute your bicep. So
I like that. While you're on GitHub, we had that question in the chat. Let me bring it to the screen. So from Adrian was wondering, because that's an open source project, correct?
yes.
So is there like a documentation on where to contribute, where people can help?
Yes, there's a step here. If they just go here, so there's instruction. Actually, I'm planning to contribute to this project also if I have time, because I'm very interested about this. Yeah.
Wonderful. Let me show
They
again.
just need to go. Yeah, they just need to go to this repository.
I would add, for folks that are interested in what Adrian's asking about here in the chat, you'll find that a lot of open source repos on GitHub have these contributing.md files. And that is a great place to start looking at, are there good first time issues that I could help contribute to? Or is there documentation work that could be done? But again, always start there. Typically, maintainers like that you open an issue before you do a whole bunch of work, just to ensure that the work you want to do aligns with their vision for the project.
Or maybe they are like there's already work in a way, so like to save you time. So like there's no two people working on the same thing on there in silos, right?
Yep.
Well, thank you. I hope it answered Adrian's question, and I'm sure other had the same question. So good question. Thank you.
About the unit testing, let me just there's this
Maybe because I'm getting old, or maybe it because it's Monday. But could you zoom a little bit? Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you.
okay, so so it uses this unit test project. So it's MS test. You can work with that. And I also saw some recommendation here which really makes sense when you structure your policy. So, and it goes like this. So you probably have this different policy, or probably this global policy should be in on top, and it should be like this one. So this is your parent policy, which has different what they call this APIs. Open the API management. So it should be this one, the global. Oh, sorry, Azure got crazy. So yeah, this is for your global policy. You can set your policy, and and under that you can have this different operations, and that is equivalent to what is saying here. This one.
So is this a recommended file structure, or is this structure enforced?
This is recommended. Actually, you can decide what the structure you want, or
Got
what
it.
structure you prefer. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
just a normal. This is just a normal .NET project, so it's up to you how you
Okay.
organize things.
I'm just thinking if a lot of folks have very opinionated ways to structure their projects, and so having that flexibility, I think, will be important to drive adoption of this toolkit.
Mhm. Yeah, you can you can structure your project as based on what you really want. It's just a normal .NET project. Nothing's new here. But I find this clean, so I will probably do it the same. Do this to save. And
So I wanted to ask, it looked like, so we know you're using a very early build of this toolkit. Do you know which version it was that you were demonstrating here?
it's only 0.1.
Okay, so the very first release. Do we
Yes.
know, like, what are some limitations you're aware of right now in the tool as it exists?
Oh well, there's not all the policies are supported yet, and you can check that here. Supported. So yeah, not all policies are supported as of the moment, but most of these ones are the common ones. But maybe this is still helpful to generate your policy. And if that policy is not yet supported, you can work with this one, inline policy. So you can still work with razor format if you want, or if you need.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So let's say I wanted to use that inline policy workaround. How would someone use that in code?
Um, the way I see it now is this will be just a generator of your XML policy. So you can just have this you can just have this tool as your like a guide. No, as an assistance to generate what you want. I mean, to generate your policy.
Okay, but I guess what I'm asking, it looked like that was that a method inline policy. I'm just wondering how I would invoke that method in code. Is there some reference I need to add, or is that API already provided?
Let's say, for example, here, if you want to add a method for, there's no outbound here, so let's try to add out.
A special Scott method.
Yeah. So, and this is equivalent to the one that you that we saw inside this one, outbound processing or processing. And inside this, you can have multiple properties. So context that, yeah, this method. So there's a lot of methods, but I am not sure why it's not working. Let me just use the other project. So here, void. Oh, and in this context, you can get different methods. So let's say, for example, you want to add force. I think there's a force here. Hmm.
There it is. I saw it in the list. Inline policy. So I guess that answers my question. That, folks, is the escape hatch you can use right now until all policies have been implemented.
Yes. Yeah. So, and have this. So, and you can also add your context for your JBT or JWT. You can, oh, sorry, this. And so there are different methods that you can. And you can- I think that's all that I want to share. I'm just really excited about this toolkit, and yeah, looking forward to use this in an actual project.
Yeah, I see a ton of benefit in using this. For me personally, I'm not a fan of writing the raw XML, especially when there's Razor involved, because you're constantly context switching from one language to another, XML to Razor to back to back. So I really do see this being a game changer in terms of productivity boost. I see we have a couple questions in the chat. Frank, Cam, did either of you want to ask those?
Yeah, I can do that. So there was one question where like it was interesting to see how we saw it was from Vam Sidhar. Hopefully, I don't butcher your name too much. It would be interesting to see how to configure the same code for multiple environment. For example, if I have like a B2C tenant and a dev and a QA and prod environment. So I think
Yes,
that's where having something that generate those files is great, because you could use variable and all those things, right?
yes, you can have a conditional implementation for that one, and for working with different environment, you can also handle that by your automation build. So if you remember this, sorry, maybe should be much more helpful. You can set different. You can set different environments variables if you need to inside your pipelines. since 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 you can pass different parameters for your bicep, or maybe if you are working with Terraform, you can also do that, and you can just handle that inside your pipeline, your YAML. And and since you are working with C# code, you can also have different application settings where you can also make it dynamic to change different values. This is very flexible the way since this is C#.
Yeah, so it's a program, so we can make it as dynamic or static as we want. But I see that as we could totally have like a parameter that is injected, received from that command, and then the output would be different. So then, like in one pass, it will generate just the thing you need. That's great. I love it. And like you said, it's very new. I saw in the GitHub repo there's already like 46 stars. Like there's people in the API management team involved in there. So it's definitely looking very, very promising. Because yeah, I'm like I don't see APIs call going away very soon.
No, APIs run the world. We do have another question. Let me pop this one up on the screen from our friend Miguel. I presume you create the volumetric model from the slices offline, not during rendering, right? Do you have any thoughts there, Ryan?
I honestly don't understand.
Cam, were you trying to say something?
I'm not sure, Scott, but I think that message might have been queued from last week.
Oh, thank you. We will pretend that never went up on the screen. Brush that one under the rug. Carry on.
Like a
Oh,
pro.
but here's a good question though. Is there anything that we need to know about using Swagger files with? Well, I guess not. We wouldn't even really call them Swagger. We would just like OpenAI specifications in hand with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. OpenAI is the new way of doing this. So Scalar is really amazing now. Scalar and OpenAI works well. Actually, I am also looking forward for this API toolkit is the feature that can, well, because most of the projects now are having the existing XML file. What I'm looking forward now is this toolkit to manage to convert that XML file into C# code. Because the way I see it now is you have a C# code and you can generate XML, but you cannot convert the existing XML file into C#. I think that would be amazing because there are lots of existing projects that has multiple XML policy files.
Oh
So what
yeah,
I'm
I see
trying
that.
that would be amazing if they manage to do it. Like I have this XML policy and I want to convert this to C# code so that it will not the existing project or existing policy will not be interrupted or will not be so yeah, so it's like
Yeah, bring
XML to C#.
all the API
Yes,
management in 2025.
That
yes.
sounds like a
make
feature
those
request.
tools to continue. I like that idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice.
That's what I'm trying to. That's what I'm looking forward, and I hope that will also be
Well, it's an
added.
open source project,
That
you know.
that will be helpful. Yeah.
Adrian was asking in chat about contributing. There we go, right there. Get the feature request sent into that repo. And
definitely create. Well, you could definitely create an issue there as a feature request, and then like maybe like the team will break it down, and then like you could start working on something like that. Because maybe taking it all by yourself, at least without announcing, it might be a risk. But yeah, like it's definitely like a good way to start contributing. I see that would be like a great feature because APIM has been there for a very, very, very long time. In fact, I was using APIM before joining Microsoft.
Because
you know,
right
one
now,
thing-
if people see this toolkit, they will probably say, "We already have this XML file, and why do we need to use that? Because we can have this APIM extension inside VS Code where we can update that directly." So maybe they will change mind if there will be an XML to C#.
I saw you were working inside of VS Code. Are there any useful extensions that viewers should be aware of when working with this sort of thing?
And none specifically for this toolkit, but they what I have here is this API management, of course, bicep. So no specific
Got it.
extension for this toolkit for now, but maybe sooner or later we will have that for sure.
So the extension API management and the extension bicep, both are published by Microsoft. Am I right?
Yes.
If I'm correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
we
great.
published trying to recall the name of it. It's been installed for so long. Azure Resources. I assume this comes along for the ride when you install the Azure Resources extension in VS Code.
And I think no, I think you need to install this API management extension separate.
Yeah.
Okay, that
I'm
looks
not
right.
sure.
Just fired up my VS Code and I don't see it in the Azure Resources extension pack.
Well,
Yeah.
API management is not like one of the part of the package, I think. Yeah.
Yes, you need to install this separately.
Okay.
But it should be used way more by API owners.
Maybe I'm wrong. Let me just check. Yes, no, I'm right. You need to install that API management separately.
Okay, good to know. I'm glad I asked. All right, well, it sounds like Ryan has covered everything. I don't see anything else in the chat. We may be at a good point to wrap up the show for this week. I'd like to, as always, thank all of our loyal viewers for tuning in. We appreciate the questions and you just taking time out of your day to join us here. It'd be super lonely without you folks. As a reminder, we record these shows. You can find all of those out at dot.net/live. If there's anything you missed, you can catch up on it there. We do plan to return next Monday. We'll be joined by guest Dobry Kolev, and the topic will be chaos simulation using .NET, OpenTelemetry, and immersive APM. Hope to see all you then. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Good day.